Organist Choirmaster here. It is a pleasure to welcome you, whether you are a few blocks away here in the Weymouth Heights neighborhood, or perhaps you're still enjoying your morning coffee in California, or maybe you're braving the cold temperatures in Michigan. It's great that you are here with us, either in this moment, live on Friday at 12 noon Eastern time, or whether you're joining us at a later time in an archived recording. This is the first of 3 Advent organ recitals that are occurring this month. Today is December 4th, 2020. Our next recital will be a week from today, which is December 11th at 12 noon, where organist Joe Setzer will join us. He is a Charlotte boy who did his training, undergraduate and master's degree at the University of South Carolina in Columbia. And then on December 18th, I'm excited to have Mary Louise Baker join us. She is a Salem College graduate and also has a master's degree from Notre Dame. Both very fine performers, and they will both bring wonderful things to our C.B. Fisk Opus 145 pipe organ. I decided that I would play a varied program similar to something I played 10 years ago. Now, at that time, I was the organist choirmaster here, fresh to North Carolina from Arizona after being there for a decade. And our pipe organ was in the back of the room. It was a Wix organ on life support. And we decided we would start, I would offer kind of an organ program as part of Advent. It was that program that then turned into our very popular and now 10-year running Bach's Lunch Recital series. So I thought after a decade it would be nice in these times to return to where we started with a program almost to the day of that first recital. We've expanded it to be a series because we have a really masterpiece of an instrument here. The first work I would like to offer to you this afternoon is the Toccata on Veni Emmanuel, which is O Come, Emmanuel, by English composer Andrew Carter. This wonderful piece shows virtuosity. It starts with full organ, and then you have the melody in the right hand and the left hand, and then the pedal in various places before it comes to an exciting conclusion. The Toccata on Veni Emmanuel. on Veni Emmanuel. Next, I will move into two pieces by an American composer by the name of John Barr. When I was in undergraduate school at Illinois College in Jacksonville, Illinois, my professor of organ, Dr. Rudolf Zeiderveld, would often bring clinicians, composers, organists for master classes. He really took very good care of introducing us to all kinds of wonderful musicians. And John Barr was one of them who I feel is an under-recognized composer of just beautiful sacred music. It's not terribly hard, but I think they're lovely settings. So I'm going to play two pieces by him. The first is a meditation on Conditor Alma Serum, which is Creator of the Stars of Night. It's a wonderful Advent hymn that we sing here every year for our Advent choral evensong. The second piece is a meditation on I Wonder as I Wander. I think it's a beautiful setting using the 8 and 2 foot flutes of the swell division, and it's just also a hymn I like. So here we are, two carol preludes, if you will, by John Barr. think both of those are just beautiful settings and just very evocative of the seasons in those particular carols. The next set of pieces I will play for you are all based on the Christmas carol In Dulce Jubilo. We know it in our hymnals in America as Good Christian Friends Rejoice. I will play three settings. The first and the third are both by Johann Sebastian Bach. One is BWV 751, and the other is BWV 729. The first Bach setting utilizes the higher pitched flutes of the organ, the 4-foot and the 2-foot, flute together. You'll also hear the Schimbelstern. This was a gift when I first arrived that was actually a gift given in Dr. Monica Brown's honor by one of her sisters, which I used to purchase a Schimbelstern, and it's the only thing that survives from the former instrument, so you'll hear that. It's very wonderful for Christmas. The middle setting is a setting by the French composer of the 20th century, Marcel Dupré, on our beautiful string, viol da gamba, and celeste stops. Our next carol setting is something rather fun. It is a setting by world-famous organist and composer Diane Bish. Now, Diane Bish was for many years made famous by her program, The Joy of Music, first originated at Coral Ridge Presbyterian Church. She would go on to record hundreds of programs of The Joy of Music, not only from Coral Ridge, but from other venues throughout the United States, and particularly throughout Europe. When I was a teenager, I would see her program on EWTN and would just be mesmerized by what she would play. She had flashy outfits and rhinestone shoes. Now that wasn't for me, but I really got excited about all of the different organs that I got to see from around the world because of her program. This is a setting of drummer boy and padapan. You really get kind of this sense of drums from the organ. I also think it kind of has this Middle Eastern, you can kind of almost picture the camels going through the desert with it. I take it at a slower tempo than she marks, so my apologies to Miss Bish, but it works better on this organ at a slower tempo. So here is Drummer Boy and Padapan. what I think is one of the most beautiful small pieces of organ music was composed by Johannes Brahms. He has 11 short choral preludes, and he has one set on the carol, Lo, how a rose ere blooming. What's interesting about this organ setting is that you almost don't hear the melody at all. Instead, it has been transformed into this just really beautiful melodic gem, if you will. So I will be using two of the flutes on this organ, the 8-foot spire flute on the grate and the 8-foot chimney flute on the swell. Here is Brahms' Lo, how a rose. Like a rose, isn't it? Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. We have this wonderful rose stained glass window here in our church, and I think if I could turn that into music, I'd play that. Finally, I'm going to conclude our program with Deux Noëls, two Noëls set by French-Canadian composer Denis Bédard. Denis Bédard writes a lot of organ music, and most of it is incredibly accessible for the listener particularly, for the player, although it can be very hard in some occasions. But I just find it just wonderful, delightful music. When we were in the midst of the shutdown early this year, I found myself staying up much too late, staring into my computer, sitting in a chair in my living room, oftentimes looking around YouTube and following one link to the next, And that's how I discovered these pieces. And I found them just absolutely wonderful, so I wanted to share them, learn them, of course, and share them with you. The first is a setting of the Huron Carol. The Huron Carol is the oldest Christmas carol in Canada. It was penned by a missionary in the 17th century and has a wonderful haunting quality to it. You will hear in this the oboe, the cornet, and then we will have a return to those wonderful cavaille coal strings that we have here on this C.B. Fisk organ. Finally, I will end the program with a toccata on the tune, He is Born, the Divine Christ Child. I have to hit the piston first. There we go. much for joining us today. It's been a pleasure. May you have a blessed Advent, and I hope to see you all next Friday at 12 noon, December 11th, when Joe Setzer will be here at the mighty CB Fisk organ to present our second recital. Thank you so much.